Hello everybody, in this tutorial we're going to create this donut in Houdini, inspired by Blender Guru donut tutorial in Blender. So even though Houdini notoriously a very complicated software, I'm going to make this tutorial super simple for you to follow along. And I have made already 2 tutorials as a foundation for this tutorial to follow along as an absolute beginner. This is unlike the traditional software. This is not a modeling tutorial. This is a procedural modeling tutorial. So first you need to know that we are in the object context, as I mentioned in the older tutorial, and you can create a geometry to be in the geometry context, geometry node. Now we're going to start off by creating a tourist, and as you can see, so just a quick W to toggle wireframe quickly. Now we want to increase the resolution just a little bit. This is non-destructive, we can edit it later on. Now we need to create a group node. This group node, I'm going to call it select, and we're going to display it normal and normal that are pointing upward. So if you followed my older tutorial, you know a little bit what is going on. Now these are the normal. We want to select the normal that are pointing upward. And groups in Houdini are the way that one of the way that you can select things, for example, or isolate things, is by creating a group. Now we set the direction to 1 on the y-axis, which is up. The y in Houdini is up. And we can now select part of the tourist non-destructively. You can go back and edit the tourist. You can add more geometry. You can give it more thickness this way. You can change the radius, and the result will move down the node network. Now we need to add noise for it to make it a little bit imperfect. So we need to add something called attribute VOB. An attribute VOB is a attribute that is a node that allow us to work on attribute. For more information on attribute, I've already mentioned a lot about attribute, explained it thoroughly in the previous video. Now, I'm assuming that you already know what I'm talking about when I'm saying attribute, because the word attribute is actually very common in Houdini, and we're going to work on these attributes. Now, we don't really need to do anything fancy. We just need to drop in a display along normal to output the result to P. We need to drop a turbulence network. We need to plug the position to the position, and we need to plug the noise to amount. Yes, nothing happened, of course, because we are not displaying it. Now you can see how we are applying noise. Now we don't really need alligator noise, we need Berlin noise. And we don't really need a lot of roughness, which is adding detail, and we don't need a lot of turbulence. And now we can use the scaler in the display along normal to dial it down a little bit, and we can add more frequency to make the detail a little bit smaller, tiny bit smaller, as you can see. and dial this down even further. Now we just have slightly imperfect shape. So I played with the setting a little bit till I got to this setting. What roughness is doing is adding more detail, also adding more depth. Frequency, I can show you actually. So I can fit it, which is basically a level, to get more to get it to be more visible. Now here, frequency, if you set frequency to 1 by 1 by 1, you see we changing the frequency. Offset is changing the placement of the texture. Can set it to 3 by 3 by 3. Now it's much more frequent, and the result that we're gonna get is more like gonna get more bumps basically, but I don't want that. I want to set it back to its default state. After finishing all of that, we need to go back a level. So as you can see, we're going back and forth in this level. We're going inside the node and outside it. Just if you are very new, you don't get very confused. Now we need to isolate the top by adding a blast node. A blast node is a node that can delete specific, so it's basically operates on deleting group. For example, I just deleted the group we created here in the group called select. Now, but you don't have to change it. You can set it to primitive if you want. This is set to primitive, yeah. So we middle mouse click here to see there's a prim group called select, and now it has 0. And here there is a prim group has 200 and something. Now we need to actually delete non-selected. Check this, so we get the top only. Now we need to add a poly extrude node, and now we need to extrude this slightly so to get a little bit of thickness. In the poly extrude node, make sure to check output back so we can get the entire model. Now before we merge the original tourist, we need to convert to VDB by hitting convert from VDB from polygon, actually VDB from polygon. So as you can see, the VDB is not behaving properly. What we are going to do is we are going to increase the thickness by holding middle mouse button and dragging down, then dragging right. We get to drag by 0.01. Now we can drag a little bit more so we can get, yeah. So VDB is a very cool way for shaping 3D model and adding noise to them and manipulating them procedurally. Actually, you know what? We're going to add more thickness here. And we're going to make this wait, let's give it a little bit more volume. Now we are going to add a volume volume. In the volume vob, we're going to auto bind by name and check, bind each to density check. Now it's actually binding surface to density. Now here we have a density, and we can add a turbulent noise, and connect it, and you can add it to the model. Of course you get something like this. We're going to fix this very soon. Just a second. Decrease this and actually 2 by 2 by 2, just to give it a little bit of imperfection, and we're going to fit it to 0 1.1. You need just it's giving it a little bit of a bump. Just give it we're just giving it a little bit of imperfection. That's it. 1.5 or 0.15. I forgot to mention this, but in the VDB from Polygon, check fill interior, and I kept this at 3, but you can set it at 5 too. And let's see, yeah, like it breaks at 1. You can set it at 2. This is basically the bond. You can imagine a box. Inside that box, a voxel is being created. Now we're going to actually smooth VDB. Give it just a little bit of smoothness. Just stopped working, of course, not sure why. Yeah. Make it slightly smooth. It's not working very well, of course. So adding more, increasing this is helping us to smooth it just slightly. I think I lost the detail. You know what? You don't have to do this. Now we can convert VDB and convert to polygon. Now this is a polygon, as you can see, and it's not looking very good. So the cool thing about Houdini is that we can go back and forth to fix this. So for example, like this, we added more, and we can decrease this slightly. We can also increase the volume amount slightly. No, this is not slightly. This is slightly. Yeah, we can increase it slightly more. We're increasing the voxels so we can get more detail before converting it to polygon. So we could build the main thing in the network and go back and forth to fix the model and Houdini. And you're probably going to do that. And you probably don't need the node to be like this. You need to name them. You need to name them prem, tourist, and noise, and select top, poly extrude top, con VDB, and VDB noise. Now we want to let's mix these together. I'm holding shift and selecting these two and holding alt to merge them. You can also just do a merge and connect this and this. Now we have two. This seems to be slightly bigger than I want it to be. Make it smaller. Make it a lot smaller. Make the donut slightly bigger. Actually, what we really need to do is we need to hit transform and maybe scale this slightly, ever so slightly. And now we have, so it's just so we can see which is which, we're going to select this and color, add color, and one gonna be like the bread and one gonna be the icing. Just a primitive color as a starting point. Actually, you're gonna add a VDB shape before we convert it. Just we give it a little bit of thickness, because I'm not sure why this time when I did it, it's slightly. Let me give it slightly more thickness. Actually, no. I'm gonna give it less thickness. No, give it more thickness and get this to be maybe. Yeah, this is a lot more believable. Now, in the middle, I don't like it this way. We're going to add another group here. So after doing this, so by holding by holding Control, we can drag the entirety of the node network. We're going to add a group node here, and we're going to select by bound. Now we're going to maybe have it as 5, and we're going to copy parameter and paste relative reference here, so we have only one value to work with. Okay, now this is slightly shit. Actually, you know what? Control Shift click and make this small. Now we are talking, yes. Now we're gonna call this group, we're gonna call this inner. Rem. You can add the group name here, or you can type in $OS and it will take the name and apply it as a group. Now here, before we convert it to VDB, so we can actually just organize slightly. And I think it's C, not C. Shift C, no, Alt C. Alt C. It's my personal. You can just click here to create a network box and say VDB and give it a color. Let's give it grayish. Yeah. Here we have now a way. So as you can see, I don't like this middle RAM. Going to blast it. Blast. You're going to select no RAM. Wait. Actually, we need to blast it. You can shake it and reconnect it here. And now it's actually much better. Now before we continue on adding the thing on top, I would like to, let me just have it a little bit to the right. Actually, we can just select everything, Shift L now, make it a hot mess. Now, so after some experimentation, we're gonna make this slightly whiter, and we're going to make this slightly more purplish. You're gonna get this look. So what I did too, I basically I added the color. It's fine now, for now it's fine, you know, but I made it the color brighter by multiplying by 1 point something in the attribute Bob. So we're going to repeat the process here. We're going to repeat the process to create the color. We are going to have a slightly different variation. Now, the next step is to scatter on top of it, and we can do this by selecting this model and repeating this step, taking this group. So first, this has a no group, which is good. Not sure why it has an attribute called name. We can repeating by just holding Alt and dragging, we can duplicate the node. Now, in this instance, as you can see, it's already like almost there. As you can see, we're only selecting the top faces. After that, we can do scatter and scatter points. Wow. scatter point. But we select actually here we can select the surface. Not sure why there's a select surface here. So you can select surface here, or it's okay, it doesn't have to be. So this has a color attribute. You can remove the color if you want, but doesn't matter. We're going to add only 250 of them. We're going to add a primitive sphere, and we're going to make it slightly smaller. We're going to add copy to point, and we are going to make it smaller, and we can now merge it with the whole model. Actually, before that, we're going to add an attribute Vob, and we're going to add the color or multiply the color constant 0.8 1.8 color so we have them a lot lighter. We can also delete the color, but for now, just for visualization, actually not, you don't have to follow this, you can just add a, let me show you actually. You can add an attribute delete, and you can delete, I think, yeah, it's a point attribute. You can delete it for now, or keep it. Here, what we really need to do, we need to make it less even by dialing this slider. So you can scatter it unevenly, and you can make it 300. And we can ever so slightly, we can change the seed too if you want. Now I want to give every single one of them, or I want to give them color, but what we are going to do first, we're going to add connectivity. What connectivity is going to give us? Going to give us an attribute called class. This attribute will actually give us, for each of these pieces, we're going to get, we know that this is a single piece, and here we can get random from attribute, and we can get class. Now this is going to give us a random colors, which could be fine, but we don't want a random color. We need random from attribute. And now let me show you. Going to the geometry sheet, as you can see, we have a class. For every single one of them is assigning a certain number. For the last one, it's 230. So for the range, you either can type in 200 and is it 33 and 99, or we can actually do something. We can do a trick. We can add a attribute promote, and disable delete original, and from point to primitive, and going to be actually from point to detail, going to be class, going to be named just range. Now here, so this is the only expression we're going to write in this tutorial, I believe. We're going to write here, you don't have to, you can just type in the number just to follow along for now. We're going to type something called detail, and we're going to the first one. So as you can see in the first one, surface node, where we are getting this attribute. We're getting this attribute from the previous node. It has range. So going to write here 0. 0 is the first input, and -1 is the special input, and 1 is the second input. Now we're going to add also, going to add this period, and we're going to add the name here. The name is range, and we're going to add 0 just so we can get the thing. Why it's only 150? Okay, it's okay, I'm gonna fix it. We're going to fix it by actually going to attribute promote, and we don't need average, I need the maximum value, so you get the full range. Now we are not typing in the number, we're getting in from the expression. Why is that? Because if you change this, the number here going to change. The number here now it's 290, as you can see. Now this we can color it to whatever we want. We can actually set this to constant, and now we can change this to something bluish, and you can add something, add a few of them. You can add the color you want here. Want to add something reddish? Okay, constant, constant, and constant. This is constant, and we're gonna add maybe a little bit of yellowish things. It's not working. There's two of them. It's okay. You can add as many as you want. Just want to keep it simple. So as you can see, we added here, we created this, and we can finalize it by adding an attribute. Actually, we can undo this, and you can finalize it by making it a little bit brighter. This is the first level of the tutorial. We created this donut. It's a very simple donut from this network. My initial network is a lot more complicated. This is a lot more simple. As you can see, there's not that many node. There's much more node here and much more in the attribute Bob. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I was planning to do level 2 and 3 on the same tutorial. I thought I would make them in a separate videos because there is already a lot of information in this. I don't want you to be overwhelmed. I want you to take things slow and easy. So we ended up with this result, which is fine actually. It's pretty fine. If you have any question, please let me know down in the comment, and you can also join the Discord down the link down the description. I think this tutorial was super simple. Tell me down below what you think about this tutorial. Was it hard? Was it easy for you to follow along?